Well, we all know what time it is, and it's Grandmaster time of the season. So my favorite part of any season is when Grandmasters open up, mostly because of the loot, right? You get tons of loot, you get way more exotics, you get more exotic material like Ascendant Shards, etc., etc. And the Adept weapons, of course, that's great. So this week, it's Naya, blah, blah, Mind Bender's Ambition. And, it's kind of like, not my favorite by any means, but still, it's just nice having Adept weapons. So, like for this guide and any other guide that I'm going to do, it's more directed toward the casual players. I might say a couple of things at times where it's like, yeah, duh, of course we do that, but just keep in mind that some of those things I'm saying is just for people that maybe don't do this on a regular basis. They're not career Destiny players like maybe some of us are. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, also, like anything else in Destiny, it doesn't matter how hard it is, but honestly, once you know the mechanics of how it works, when the enemies spawn, for example, where to stand in any given room or encounter, it gets like 100% easier, way easier, as long as you know like what to do, when to do it, that kind of stuff. So that's more what this is focused on. Not really loadouts. I mean, for any activity, the loadout options are great. So if anyone's telling you you have to run this, like this is the best, that's just the best for them. It's not always going to be the best for you, right? Like we all know that. So I'm a big proponent. Well, that's a big word. I'm big on running whatever you're comfy with. So if if you hate Arbalest and you suck at Arbalest, you don't have to run Arbalest. Arbalest is great, don't get me wrong, but there's lots of different ways you can do anything. Okay, it just depends what you're comfy with. Plus, Bungie tells us what to run anyways, normally, or they do a good enough job on telling us what to run on the artifact mods for each season, right? So this season is grenade launcher, you're probably going to run a grenade launcher, right? Right, easy. Okay, so for Insight Terminus, the only things you really need to know, it's a Void Burn. Okay, that's important. The champions are Barrier and Unstoppable, so you might want to be able to handle that. Also, I should note, this guide mostly is going to give examples for if you're solo. Like near the end for the boss room, we'll go for some fire team stuff as well, and maybe throughout it I'll mention the odd fire team thing here and there. Just keep in mind, more directed for solo guide, but if you can do it solo, the more people the better, right? It's pretty rare where you're in a scenario where this tactic only works if you're solo and it's total garbage when you're in a fire team. That scenario is pretty rare. So let's go on. So the first part here, a good tip you want to know if you want to skip a lot of the beginning ads and two barriers is this. At the beginning in this tunnel here, if you're fast enough on a Sparrow, you can skip through this whole checkpoint and it doesn't let any of the enemies load in this first section here. So you have to be fast. It doesn't matter what Sparrow you're using though. You just it might take a little bit of practice kind of navigating there because you don't want to get hung up on any of like the cliff spots or anything like that. But if you're fast enough and you just zoom through this whole thing, they won't spawn and you can skip those sections. Saves you some time. Doesn't cost you platinum or anything like that because the champions never actually spawn, so it doesn't count as a miss. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, if you're in a fire team for this section, just keep in mind one person should probably go first, whoever's kind of the best at their Sparrow. One person goes through first until you make it to this checkpoint right here. As soon as you see this checkpoint come through, the rest of the team can follow through the tunnel. So just to reiterate there, you can take your time getting to this spot right here, but then once you're here, you need to zoom. So zoom fast. If you're fast enough, if you don't get caught up on too many cliffs or obstructions, then you're good to go. You know it worked because when you get there, they're not there. You know it didn't work because when you get there, they are there. Easy, simple, right? And again, just make sure you make it to this one checkpoint right here before the rest of the team follows. Okay, that's it. Now, the next part, the cliffs here, pretty straightforward. You can, if you have anything long range, it's definitely easier for this one specific section. So you can take out the snipers from a distance. Cool. You can take out the barrier from a distance too, if you have the right equipment. That's good too. And then if you're gonna push when the snipers are there, like, whatever you want to do, you can push the right side, push the left side, push the center, up to you. It's just whatever you're comfortable with at the time. That's good. I can't really say for sure that one's better than the other. I think they're kind of all the same. So moving on to the first proper checkpoint. So as soon as you get into this room, right, you'll see Kargan. You don't want to go up and give him a hug or anything like that because he'll stomp and like kill you or hurt you real bad anyways. But once he disappears, get on the plate, of course. Now you'll see like the big butcher boys. I forget their real name, but the butcher boys and some dogs will spawn in. Now, If you kill them all, it'll make the unstoppables that spawn next spawn in quicker. If you can blind freeze whatever, like the dogs and the butcher boys, as long as possible while you let this thing charge up, while they're off the plate, it will prevent the unstoppables from spawning. They'll still spawn after the plate's done, but obviously it's easier to activate the plate or do the control the zone mechanic without them being there, right? Of course. So in this clip, I'll see this part where, like, I killed those guys too fast, so the unstoppables spawned in. I got a little messy, but it still worked out fine. Now, things, right, like stasis, freezing, stuff like that works great. Blinding grenades work great. If you can get one of the dogs or even one of the butcher boys caught up or stuck in the wall, they'll actually like just be too confused to walk forward, and you can clear the plate easily that way. There's the two statues on the side. You can jump up there, or someone, if you're in a fire team, can jump up there while the plate's charging. I mean, it's kind of useless, honestly. Like, you may as well just all be down there kind of helping each other out and charging that plate up. So, but after it's done, you're done. Now, if you really screw up and take too much time after you kill the unstoppables, just waves of like the flamethrower guys and dogs will spawn in, which can not be fun either. Now, what I like to do as soon as I enter this big open space here is I shoot Kargan way off in the distance, and what that'll do is it'll trigger more ads, which I know sounds worse, but it's actually not, because if you do it the other way where you run up and he disappears, the other ads will spawn in, plus another extra barrier champion will spawn. So if you shoot him right away, you'll not get that extra barrier to spawn in. So it's up to you. Honestly, one extra barrier is not the end of the world or anything like that, but if you don't want to deal with an extra barrier, then just shoot Kargan as soon as you walk in. And it's also a little bit faster, honestly, shooting Kargan this way. Now, when you first get there, right, you have a choice. You can stay here and take out that barrier if you'd like to. Obviously, like, taking out that barrier is probably the biggest threat, because he's the one with like the Gatling gun, and those guys just wreck you, especially in Grandmasters. So whatever you can do, if you're using grenades, blinding grenades, like, whatever. Now, you can push up to the pillars on the right hand side there. That's cool too. The only thing really to keep in mind in this, kill everything however you want, but the unstoppable that spawns in the center after you shoot Kargan, kill him very last. Okay, that's all. You don't want to be killing any unstoppable in this whole room first before anything else, because normally when you kill him, it kind of triggers the next phase of this room. That's all. So unstoppable last always. That's all. Now, after you kill that first unstoppable and he drops his ball there, you can grab the ball. I like to push up the right hand side there, because I got lots of cover and I got a good decent line of sight to the barrier that's on the far side with those two butcher boys. I mean, gladiators, whatever you want to call them. Now, yeah, and you got more cover. It just seems pretty comfy. I'm pretty comfy pushing the right hand side. Now, after you dunk that ball, there's a group of ads going to spawn through this portal here. I like to take out them, but the more important thing here is hanging out in the back here until that barrier pushes forward. He kind of singles himself out and comes towards you enough that you only have to deal with him in just a few ads, which makes it so much easier, because if you push forward right at this point, then you have one unstoppable and two barriers to go at the same time. This way, at least you single out one of the barriers. Makes it the next little part here a lot easier, which the next part being is you got to push forward. Now, just because all the snipers like to run onto the left-hand side here, where these, like, the pillars are and stuff like that, when I push forward here, I like to do the left side too, so I can take out them first. After I take them out, I have enough cover that I can focus on this one barrier, kill the remaining ads, and then again, unstoppable last. Now, as soon as you kill that unstoppable, more enemies are going to spawn in. So don't go pick up the ball, nothing like that. As soon as he's dead, just keep in mind, they're going to be coming in. If you did push the left-hand side, they're going to be teleporting in behind you. So you can run to the far back or turn around, take them out as they come out the doors. Either way, they will come from the far side of the room too and push forward, but another whole new wave of ads as soon as you kill that unstoppable. That's why it's important to do him last, because if you say killed him first and the barrier's still there, then you have all these extra ads pouring in, plus that barrier. He's the dangerous barrier that has like the Gatling gun, and yeah, it can just get a bit more messy. Now, after everything's done, as soon as you pick up this ball, that drop pod thing's gonna fall from the sky like some ODST wannabe. So it's a barrier, take him out right away as soon as he drops in. Don't just burn him down quick. Now you can pick up that ball or whatever, but you gotta kill the two barriers that spawned in the far side where you You need to get through them before you can dunk. So this, it's like totally up to you. The one closest to you here is the more dangerous one. So, you know, you can push just straight in. That's totally fine. You can move up the right hand, left hand side. It's really just whatever you or your team are comfortable with. Just keeping in mind that that one at the front, the one closest to you at this point, is for sure the most dangerous one. And dunk, and that's it. Time for the boss room, really. I mean, don't fall. There's a couple drops you got to do. So, I mean, be careful, especially if you're one of those titans that has trouble landing. Just, you don't want to wipe here, especially like your team will have trouble jumping back to revive you. So be careful. Okay, the boss room. So definitely not the hardest boss, but there's a couple, just one little nuance really, and a few hiding spots and a couple tips or tricks that we can talk about. But first thing, drop in. You know, you'll see Kargan, he'll wipe all those Vex out. If you want a chance to get an ammo drop, if you do damage to those Vex before he kills them, you might get an ammo drop, but probably ammo economy's probably not too much of an issue for you, I'm gonna guess. So as soon as he gets on here, obviously jump on the first plate, do your thing. If you have blinding grenades, I like blinding grenades on Grandmaster specifically for this boss, but there's a bunch of ways you can do it. Anyways, as long as you're on this plate, as soon as these guys drop in, it won't be an issue. Just keep in mind for these plates, and I'm sure you know, the enemies cannot get in those plates, otherwise it stops charging. And if you leave with the enemy on there, it's just gonna get even more messy after that. So once you get on a plate, try and commit to it. Don't get off and get on, get off and get on. Okay? Within reason, right? Stuff happens. But now, the best part for this, for doing damage, is like kind of back in this section is what I prefer, but there's a couple other areas too. So, especially if you're in a fire team and you want to break up, if one person wants to hang out back here, just on this little ledge here, it's super safe. The boss will always push towards the person that's there, the person that's closest forward, the boss will always push towards. So if you push forward the left side, the boss will follow you to the left. If you push the right, the boss will follow you to the right, within reason. If he can get to you, he will, and he'll stomp you, etc., etc. But this spot here, you know, it's not bad, especially when you're a team. I used to use this spot all the time. I'm kind of just too lazy to now, because that was more when it was like Anarchy was the go-to for everything. You know, you could pop in with a couple Anarchies, hide back and cover at this ledge here, and so on. Another safe spot is kind of right here, close to the center. You're not as safe from like enemy firing grenades, but when the butcher boys and dogs come out, 100% safe. But I'll talk about that in a second. So, anyways, you just want to damage the boss, right? Now, when one third of his health is missing, you want to everyone take a break. So if you're by yourself, obviously you don't have to tell everyone to take a break because it's just you. But if you're in a fire team, you just want to call out he's at 1/3 health, and everyone needs to stop damaging the boss right now, and everyone needs to focus on clearing up adds. If there's any straggler cabal around, you want to clear all them up. After all the stragglers and adds are done, then everyone all at once just do damage to the boss and get him to activate his intermission phase where the 3 plates opened up. The reason for this is you can assign all 3 team members to each plate, right? So again, this is if you're a fire team, obviously, but so each person has a plate assigned to him. As soon as he goes immune, everybody jump on your plate. If everyone does it all at once, as soon as he goes immune, you can fairly easily, like really easily, get all the plates done and activated and over with before any butcher boys or dogs get to you. All right, so that's if you're in a fire team. That's honestly the best, easiest way to do it. The other way is to go as a group to each plate, but it's in my opinion, it's too slow. It's better if just everyone jumps on their plate instantly as soon as that mechanic starts and just gets it done and over with. Now, if you're using blind grenades, super easy against the big boys, because again, you don't want anyone to make it to the plate, but do whatever you need to do to make sure adds don't get to your plate. So use your heavy grenades, super, whatever. Okay, for this scenario, like stasis works really good for kind of controlling the field. Most roaming supers, bubble, invisible. Obviously, if you're a hunter, like there's tons of ways to get around this, but for sure the easiest way is just everyone jump on their plate as soon as it starts. Now, if you're doing this solo, same thing for the first phase. Like for damage, like hanging out at this back center part is for sure the easiest. Watch out for grenades, of course, but you got lots of cover, so you're fine. Now, same thing, you want to take note. Once he has 1/3 of his health gone, start paying attention to adds a lot more. So he doesn't activate his intermission phase, if we want to call it that, at 1/3 health. It's pretty much half health is when he activates it, but you just want to start paying attention. So if you're by yourself, you might not be able to burn him that fast from a third to half. So clear out all the ads, do more damage to him. If more ads spawn, just stop damaging the boss and focus on the ads. Once he's like super close to health, like then, you know, take a breath, clear the ads, and then damage them, activate the last phase. So you just don't want the ads there because it's just going to be harder to capture the plate, especially by yourself if there's a bunch of Cabal already running around, because they're going to rush you on the plates, and that's no good because you're dealing with all the other stuff that's going to spawn during the intermission too. So it's not good. For me, I like this. There's no reason I start this way. You can do it in any order you want, but I start in the right plate, and then I do the center plate, and then I do the far left plate. Now, again, same thing. As soon as he goes to the intermission, you should be able to capture at least one plate. So I go far right, I capture it. I got my blinded grenades to slow down the big boys and any dogs that might spawn. And I clear that. After that's done, I'll run to this section here. When you're hiding right here, you're 100% safe from the big boys, aka gladiators, dogs. None of them will run up that far. I don't know why, but they just won't come to you there. So you can just shoot them from a distance and it's much safer. You do got to watch out for some grenades. Some flamethrower guys might creep up the far left side, right side, and shoot you a little bit, but it's more an annoyance than anything else. As long as you're paying attention, you'll be good. So the order these guys spawn in is kind of important. It's kind of relevant there. So first, it's the big boys. Gladiators will spawn first, and then dogs will spawn, and then gladiators, and then dogs, and then gladiators, dogs, so on and so on. Now, the regular Cabal and the flamethrower guys, they'll spawn throughout this too, but it depends on how fast you kill them. So if you only kill the big boys and the dogs, and none of the other Cabal and none of the flamethrower guys, they won't spawn anymore. So they spawn more when you kill them. So the more you kill, they're not the more you kill. When you kill them, they will get replaced. So why this is important is you can time it. So when you're waiting to capture the next plate, let's say you have a bunch of dogs out, kill all the dogs. As soon as you kill the dogs, run in and secure that plate before the big boys spawn in. Now, regular Cabal will push towards you too, and you will have to kill some of them because you can't let them on the plate. Otherwise, it'll take longer to clear. But so clear them out as they become a problem. If they're not a problem or they're blind or whatever, don't kill them, because if you kill them, they're just going to end up getting replaced by the next wave. Now, if you have a bubble, super, anything like that, by all means, go ham. That's fine. But just do that. So try and stagger it in between waves of the big boys and dogs for getting a plate, and then run away and do the next plate after. So there's another spot on the left side here that you can hide just behind kind of this, on the cliff edge, under this rock. So if stuff does get hairy and you need to take a breath, or you want your super to recharge, or you want to go get yourself a coffee or take a pee break, this is where you want to hang out. So super safe here. They won't come in here and get you. And then just repeat. So for the last plate, again, same thing. You're gonna back up, clear the dogs or big boys that are there. As soon as you clear the last one, run quickly to the plate and start charging it before the next wave spawns in, and then hopefully you have something to like delay them. Now, if something goes utterly wrong and capturing the plate doesn't work, that's cool. Just run away, go back to one of the safe spots, kind of reset yourself, take a breath, clear the ads, and try again. So there's nothing stopping you. You can try 100 times to get a plate. Who cares? Who cares? So that's it. Now, after you got all 3 plates, the boss comes back. You can go back to wherever you're doing damage from, you know, the center back area, and just take them out. So you can take your time, whatever. You know, at this point, maybe you're running out of heavy. That's fine. Shoot them with primary grenades, whatever you need to do. If you're feeling ballsy and want to run and do an ammo run, go ahead and do that too. No big deal. That's it though. That's, I mean, hopefully this helped if you're new to Grandmasters, new to Destiny, or, you know, you're only 1580 because you didn't really play this season, but they opened it up to everybody now for Grandmasters, but you're like 40 power under and you weren't 100% sure on the mechanics. I hope this helped you. This is for you. Yeah, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Subscribing's cool, right? I mean, only if you want to. That's it.